Realistically, what can Gen Z do to avoid being a permanent renting generation? Several years ago, a group of like-minded people in Southern California purchased a large parcel of land. They then formed a non-profit mutual benefit corporation. They divided up the parcel into about 200 home sites. Selling off the membership home sites provided funds for the infrastructure of the park. The only structures that are allowed are tiny homes or RVs. The current membership dues are $180 per month plus electricity and internet. The average cost per home site is $60,000. Because it's set up as a non-profit, personal enrichment is not part of the equation. Vote. Seriously. So few people vote, it's scary. If you want to see real change like an overhaul of the housing pricing, loans, and minimum wage, then go vote. Get as many of your peers to vote as well. Old people have been in charge for so long and all they've done is gut regulations and screw over everyone else because they already got theirs. Like corporations and hedge funds shouldn't be able to buy up huge swaths of homes. They're the reason pricing for both mortgages and rent is skyrocketing. Voting is the only way to put a stop to it. Buy a starter home. It is going to be a shithole, but you have to get into one, fix it up a little and then sell it after about 4 years. There are houses for sale in my town for $120K. They are not nice, but neither was my first home I bought in 2008. Looking back, my parents' first 3 houses were all really shitty. Then they started building up a little equity and now they live in a nice neighborhood. Most of the time, this is how it goes. Gen Z and millennials all want the granite countertops and outdoor kitchens to start from. Honestly, buy as soon as possible. You don't have to have a huge down payment, it can be like 3. Buy a fixer-upper or at least a house you can improve somewhat in a decent, ideally up-and-coming area. Even if you just live there for a few years, you will almost surely profit off of selling it. Real estate is the fastest way to build wealth. We bought our house for $127,000 and it is currently worth nearly $250,000. We were broke when we bought this house, which is a risk of course, but it was worth it for us. Edit typo. Wait, too late for this comment to matter, but the answer to this is to buy like you're renting. Most people rent apartments. But most people can buy a similar condo for what they pay in rent for the apartment, and with very little money down. Buy the condo, live in it for 5 years. Take the likely appreciation and use it as a down payment for the next size house. Live there for 5 years, and you'll likely have an even nicer down payment for the next largest house. Start investing early, not just putting money into a low-interest savings account. Even if it's only a few $100s. Keep adding to it. My 18-year-old son bought Apple stock about 6 years ago with birthday and Christmas money he had saved from his grandparents over several years. I think it was about $1,000. He's added to it with summer jobs. He's currently got about $11,000 in high-yield mutual funds. When he's ready to buy a home, he'll have a decent deposit. You're gonna have to move away from major cities and take full advantage of remote job opportunities. A big misconception is housing is expensive, when the reason the housing is expensive is because you're trying to buy a property in a high cost of living area where everything is already developed. Live below your means and don't fall victim to the lifestyles you see trust fund babies living on social media. Get politically active. Together the younger generations outnumber the ones that did this, and we get turn the tide, but only together. The housing crisis is one case created by greed and the deregulation of banks and businesses. And Citizens United, remove any politician that protects corporate interests over that of citizens. Vote in tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. Realize that if you can afford it, but it sells, then someone else can. Which means, you can't afford the area you are trying to buy a house in. Settle for what you can afford. That might mean a different side of town or a different city. Also, not all jobs will afford you with the income to buy in all markets. If you are single, rent with roommates and build a nest egg. Abolish any and all single-family home laws and restrictions and do collective communal home purchases. 4-bedroom house becomes 4-person or couple-owned house. Yeah, space will be tight, but the split mortgage and down payment will make it possible. Note, I think having to even consider this shows how badly America has failed newer generations. It's just a path forward. All stats show just about everyone is YOLO spending. I see Gen Z driving around nicer cars than I drive, wearing brand new clothes drip, posting their nights out at the bars, etc., basically trying to look like they have dollar. Honestly, you all have to sacrifice, which means work hard, save your money, and delay gratification. I promise, Nobody will save you. Do what the boomers and their parents did by moving further out from major population centers. Everyone is now moving towards them, and the supply in those areas aren't keeping up with demand. Lobby city-state governments to eliminate NIMBY zoning that limits density, which keeps housing supply artificially low. Wait for more boomers to die or move into nursing homes. Seriously, I keep seeing articles about how Z's ownership rates are ahead of both millennials and Xers at the same age, and then I regularly see all sorts of posts like this. Have Z's just been conditioned to believe they'll never own a house even though the actual evidence says otherwise? Are the articles I'm reading wrong or misleading? What is going on? Finish high school, get into the trades, or do 4 years in the military to leverage TA post 9/11 Q bill. Complete college debt-free, save for 5 years, don't buy dumb shit like a Shelby Cobra Mustang, use VA home loan benefit you qualify for military service, don't live in about cover it. Not 100 sure about timeline for VA loans after September. 1. Work remote for a high-paying company, but live in a different area with good real estate. Or work for a high-paying company, but take a long commute to live outside of town with more affordable housing. 2. Look for the lowest cost condo that you can purchase with a mortgage. 3. Get an FHA home loan, which is better suited for first-time home buyers. From what I've seen, younger people's wants outweigh their ability to pay for them. I knew someone personally who was flat broke that wouldn't look at any house less than $500K. That's what they considered a starter home in North Carolina. Be realistic about what you can afford, and start with that. There's no shame in modesty. I thought I'd be a permanent renter, but I ended up buying a starter home at a much later age. So hey, it's possible. I think there need to be laws against corporations buying up single-family homes, really. And new houses that aren't huge McMansions being built in greater numbers to meet demand. Better buy houses. But seriously, in addition to saving and living frugally to have enough, which I know is hard for younger folks, not saying it isn't for a down payment, young folks may finally want to get politically active and vote out all of those anachronistic politicians that make local housing policies worse. Learn how to budget. Seriously. The amount of money people waste these days is unreal. Just because you can pay someone to do it for you, doesn't mean you always should, and just because you want something and have enough money in the bank to buy it, doesn't mean you need or can afford it necessarily. If you want a realistic answer, live at home, save for a down payment, and look for houses that aren't in super desirable areas. If you get married, you now have 2 incomes to buy a house, and if you buy a multifamily property, you can use money you get from renting the other units to help pay your mortgage. Wait! Many boomers own multiple homes. Investment properties. Vacation homes. When they die, those properties enter the market. There are more boomers than Gen Z. Do the math. Just try it out and save your money. Give it 10-15 years and you can probably buy a house way cheaper than you could today. Run for political office and keep doing so until elected. I know that sounds flippant, but it's not meant to be. The only real way to affect change in that area is to ensure all political bodies are more progressive, less beholden to big money, and more in tune with issues that affect younger people. The Purge? I'm 41, and the economic reality facing a newly minted adult just joining the job force is a nightmare. My daughter is getting a good education and should get a job making significantly more than I ever have. The only way she's ever going to own a house is if I leave her mine. Support workers' rights and fair pay that rises with inflation. Allowing low taxes and skyrocketing pay for the very wealthy is a political issue that needs to be addressed, as well. However, it will be in the rising rights of workers that future generations can once again hope to own property again. For certain professions, tech for example, there is a game-changing option that's more widely available to Gen Z than any prior generation: remote work. That presents a realistic possibility to hold a job out of a high cost of living area while living in a lower cost of living town. BMBs. Push local governments to upzone and or remove zoning restrictions. Push for the implementation of land value taxes. Avoid band-aids like rent control, which are fine for existing renters but reduce supply of housing. Supply go up, demand stay constant, prices go down. The same thing most millennials are doing too. Vote for politicians that can help. Find jobs that aren't grueling, that pay well, far and few between. Live with parents or family that can afford, don't mooch, so help out. Patience, cause this market is insane. Set your sights lower. You do not need a McMansion in the burbs with all the trimmings. I bought a fixer-upper last year for $50,000. It was built in 1904 and needs a lot of work, but you know what? Home repair is just not that damn hard. I've been learning as I go. Move to Rust Belt towns, and gentrify them. I live near Clarksburg, West Virginia, moved here in 2023, and not only is there a ton of work here, but a ton of old rundown houses available on the cheap. Move here, work, fix up a big house and enjoy a beautiful state. Learn a trade. Tradespeople make great money and are in high demand. It's not glamorous work, but it pays well and is always going to be a useful skill. Plumbing isn't going away anytime soon. Neither is the need for welders, carpenters or HVAC people. Stop voting for socialists like Hawke and Bernie Sanders who promise free everything and deliver nothing. Instead, invest in yourself and develop a marketable skill. It's time to stop relying on handouts and start taking control of your financial future. Either be lucky enough to be the only child of parents who own a home to one day be left said home in their will. Or eat the rich. As a younger millennial, the generations before us completely fucked us into the dirt with regards to housing. Work to eliminate single-family home zoning. This wouldn't ban SFHs, it would just ban zoning that doesn't allow multifamily homes to be built. If Gen Z wants to own, then owning condos apartments is really going to have to be the thing. If you are Gen Z, found yourself pushed to the margins of society, time to turn to a life of crime, learn to launder in this decade and buy a nice house. Then do art, eat nice food, have nice sex and be happy you escaped modern slavery. Get behind gentrification, find a poor neighborhood, kick all the poor people out and start making it better. Shit, if a group of people got together and just bought all the 25k houses in the ghetto, you could make that neighborhood nice.